PowerPoint. Everyone will get a copy of the PowerPoint. Um, so don't worry about that. And there'll be time for questions and contact, and our contact information will be in at the end of the presentation. In addition, we're going to put our contact information in the chat, and feel free to put questions in the chat if you have any, or just holler out. We're very casual in our style, and we want you to ask as many questions as you have. To get started, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Donna Langley, and I am the coordinator for the Women's Business Center here in Baltimore at Maryland Capital Enterprises. I was formerly the Baltimore Main Streets director at the Baltimore Development Corporation, where I worked with over 2,000 small businesses, helping them make their vision for their business a reality. And prior to that, I worked at Volunteer Maryland, which is an AmeriCorps program of the governor's office, working with over 80 nonprofits building their volunteer programs. And I'm also an AmeriCorps alum. And Nick, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you everybody for coming. My name is Nick Rudolph. I am sorry I'm not on camera. I am nursing a cold and not looking my best, so I apologize for that. I also used to work with the Baltimore Main Streets program and also with the Main Street Maryland program. I've been with MCE since 2015, and I've got experience working with small businesses, public speaking, and developing cash flows and business plans. And our contact information will be at the end of the training. All right, Donna, take it away.
All right. Well, before we get started, we want to give you a little bit of background information about who we are. Maryland Capital Enterprises is a nonprofit, a community development financial institution and small business administration approved lender. We have two offices, one in Salisbury and one in Baltimore. And our service area includes the Eastern Shore, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. We work with both new and existing businesses. We have two women's business centers, one in Baltimore and one in Salisbury. And I encourage you to go to our websites at the bottom of this slide. We have worked very hard on our websites, and they're new and exciting, and we want you to take a look at them. Next slide, please. So we have the following 4 certifications, but really, what does that mean to you? It means that we have more pots of money for us to fund your business with. Really, at the heart of what we do, though, is our free technical assistance to small businesses throughout Maryland, where we do things like help to write business plans, do cash flow projections, all for free. We have webinars on a wide variety of topics, such as how to renegotiate your lease or advanced QuickBooks. And if you need some additional assistance, we'll even find you a consultant. So, for example, if you need a subject matter expert and somebody on staff doesn't have the expertise, we can help you find someone to build a website, or if you have legal questions or advanced financial questions, we found consultants for all of those. And all of that is absolutely free and at no cost. And so if that's something that you're interested in, please do not hesitate to contact me or Nick, and we'll be happy to help you with getting any of that counseling or training. And we also do small business financing, which Nick will talk to you about a little bit later. But now that we've gotten the basics out of the way, Nick's going to talk about starting a business. Nick?
Thank you, Donna. So yeah, first thing we're going to talk about when starting a business is why you would want to start a small business. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why you might want to do that. People have given us reasons like they want to increase income, they've got a talent or a passion of interest that they want to work with. They see a hobby that they could turn into a career. They want to be their own boss, work flexible hours, or develop like a new skill set, a new career. And those are all great reasons to start a business. And you may have different reasons, but this is generally what we hear. And what this shows is an entrepreneurial spirit. These are folks who have special things that they want to bring out and give to the world, but also tend to be independent, and tend to be folks who like to be their own bosses. And so we're going to talk about a little bit, how you use all those things to get the business going. So, to have a successful business, it's all about building the foundation, right? You want to spend a lot of time planning your business so you've got a strong foundation to build the business on. So if you think about when you see developments going up, you see a lot of time where there's a lot of groundwork, the ground's flat, there's holes in the ground, and then once things start popping up, they pop up real quick. Same thing in a business, but it's going to take thorough planning. It's going to take creativity, especially with a small business. You're going to have to stand out in the market, and it's going to take hard work. So, if you're starting a business because you want to have an easier job than your current one, that's probably not going to be your reality. You'll probably have a more fulfilling job than your current one, however. And we got a little bit of animation. Sorry about that. Alrighty, so now the scary slide. And the scary slide says that a lot of businesses close pretty quickly, 30% in 2 years, 50 in 5, 80 in 10. And that sounds really scary. But the truth is, there are a lot of reasons why businesses close. Is it risky? Absolutely. Starting a business is always risky. You're betting on yourself there. But all these businesses closing aren't necessarily signs of failure. Businesses get bought out. Business entrepreneurs decide they want to do a different business. Oftentimes, people who are successful restaurateurs come up with another idea, close their successful restaurant, and open up another one. So even though these numbers can look scary, they're a little bit misleading. And with a lot of work up front, you can pretty much guarantee some success for your business. So now we're going to talk about 20 questions to ask before starting your small business. And you're going to get the PowerPoint. I'm not going to read these out to you, but just in general, what you want to think about is, why are you starting the business? What is the reason behind you wanting to turn whatever it is that you're doing into your own business, whether it's something you're good at working for somebody else or something new that you want to bring into the world? You also want to think about what kind of business you want. And what that means is, are you a storefront? Are you retail? Are you service? Are you restaurant? Are you able to do everything online? What are you comfortable with? You think about who your customers are and how your clients and the products will relate to them. You need to figure out how much money you need to get started, and not just to start the business, but to survive while you are getting it started. You really want to think about, where you're located. Are you working alone or will you have employees? Do you need to purchase supplies, or do you need to have suppliers or wholesalers? And then you also want to start thinking about, how are you going to get that money? Do you have wealthy family who's just going to give it to you? Do you have investors that you might be able to talk to, or are you going to need a loan? Then you need to start thinking about lead up time. If you're inventing something and you're getting it made overseas, it's going to take a while for it to be ready to sell. How are you going to survive during that time period? You need to think about your competition, and this is one really big thing that we have a problem with. We understand that small businesses can be unique, but no matter what your business idea is, somebody else has had it. Look for somebody else doing what you're doing, see what they're doing well, copy that, see what they're doing not so well, and improve upon that. You want to think about your price point. You want to think about what it's going to cost you to start the business, taxes and things like that. And then you want to start talking about, the operations. How are you going to manage the business? How are you going to get people in the door? So just use these 20 questions as just sort of jumping off points to think about where you want to get started on your business. Now we have this list of 10 steps of starting your business. And the most important thing to know about this list is that it is not in any specific order. It's not like one is more important than the other, or necessarily one needs to be done before the other. These are just 10 important things. Number one, you are already doing by being in this webinar right now. Get business assistance and training. There's so many free resources available to you. So many nonprofits just like us talk to all of us. Write a business plan, and Donna's going to go into great detail about that. If you're going to have employees, you need to understand what your responsibilities are as an employer. You need to choose where you're going to open. Not just is it going to be on a busy street, but sometimes moving across a street or down a block will make you open to some new incentives like facade improvement grants or tax credits. So you really want to think about where you're moving. You want to determine the legal structure of your business. Are you going to be an LLC to take away some of the risk from you? Or are you going to be a sole proprietorship or an S Corp, where it's a little bit easier to manage the structure, but a little bit more risk? You want to register a name. You want to think about your state and local taxes. You want to make sure that you get any type of license and permits that are needed by your state, your county, and your municipality. You want to figure out how you're going to finance that business, and you want to develop a marketing plan. And as Donna will go into detail, the marketing plan is the biggest part of your business plan. And with that, I will hand it over to Donna.
Thanks, Nick. So, as Nick said, you need to develop your marketing plan. And to do that, you need to understand your market. If you do the proper research, you will remove business risks before you even start. Determine if there is room for your business. It is your responsibility to demonstrate the need for your business. So, think about this. If there are 8 pizzerias in your neighborhood and you want to open up a ninth, you need to discuss why it's a good idea to open up a ninth pizzeria. By researching trends, you can spot current and upcoming problems in your industry and take steps to combat them. You can discuss them in your business plan, actually. Identify sales opportunities. And speaking of the business plan, you'll need to include all the data and citations from your research. So, where do you get this research? Next slide. From the internet, from industry publications, government websites, chambers of commerce, trade organizations. The Department of Commerce is actually a great resource. As a tip, you want to look for local and regional organizations. Try to drill down in your research. So, for example, if you're in the trucking industry and you're talking about, national averages, see if you can find data about um, the East Coast at least, or Maryland at best. Um, See if you can really, hone in on the data as much as possible. So, what are a few advantages and disadvantages of owning your own business? Let's talk about it. The pros: number one, you get to be your own boss. And that's really what we hear is the overwhelming reason why people want to be, why they want to own their own business. You can't be fired. You determine your income. You do what you love. You create jobs so you help others thrive and provide for their families. And for many of you, you engage in social change. For example, hiring ex-offenders or veterans. We hear that quite a lot. The cons: you work really long hours. You take on all the financial risk yourself. You may go without income for a time or occasionally. You may need additional training or education, and that takes time. No vacations, maybe. Trouble finding time for yourself, work life balance. And you have a lot of bosses who really are your customers. Next slide. There are some businesses that are eligible for additional resources in the form of grants, stipends, tax breaks, and more. For example, right now we have special funding for women-owned veteran businesses. So think about it. If you're in one of these categories, you may be eligible for some special funding or a tax break or some other kind of assistance. So research that. Now Nick is going to talk about what you need to make it. Nick?
Thank you, Donna. So we're going to talk about sort of the keys to success for starting your business. Nothing's a guarantee, but these help make it go. Number one, you want to think about what kind of experience or knowledge you have with the products or services that you have. If you don't have that experience, how are you going to get that experience, right? So if you don't have the degree or the license, who is going to be your mentor? You also want to think about what kind of management experience you have. And that can be, just about anything. Managing a fast food restaurant or being a shift leader can really help you when you're starting your own lawn care business or salon, because a lot of the sort of numbers and things are going to be the same. Can you effectively recognize and solve problems? That's one of the biggest things about opening a small business, is that there are going to be problems that no matter how much you plan for them, they're going to pop up, and you will have never even thought of them. 2019, nobody ever thought that the whole world would shut down for 18 months or 2 years, and it did. So what is your ability to get creative and solve those problems? And again, can you gain more skills with a mentor? Find somebody who's done what you've done and really, pick their brain, have them be a cheerleader for you. So before you actually start, you want to think about this checklist. Oftentimes people start businesses without checking their zoning requirements. They might not be open in a commercial district, or without figuring out exactly what kind of licenses you need. If in certain cities you need to have, the building inspector come, the fire inspector. Sometimes there's special things for electric. If you've got food, you're going to have the health department, and you need to make sure you do them all, and you do them all in the right order. So check with your local municipality and figure out what that is. You're going to need business insurance no matter what your business is. You're going to need banking no matter what your business is, and you're going to need to understand what your credit is. Oftentimes, especially when we're talking with folks who already have businesses, they talk about their business credit. Here's a little industry secret. 99% of the time when businesses are looking for loans, funders are looking at personal credit of the people who own the business. We don't even look at business credit. So you want to make sure that you understand where your credit is and how you can improve it to get to the point where you're going to get these loans. So we put all of that, into a team that you might need, and that's your bail team. That's your banker. You want to know your banker before you need a loan. Talk to them, open the account, call them every month or two and let them know what's going on in the business. If you're having an event, invite them. Get to know an accountant. Make sure that you've got somebody who can do your taxes, that understands your business. So if something big pops up, they'll be able to address it. Same thing with insurance, and then also get to know a lawyer. You don't need to have one on staff, but you want to save up a little bit of money and know who's out there. So in case you do need them, you can use them. Just one second. Okay, so we did have a quick question, which was, what was the ideal personal credit score when applying for a loan for a small business? So we're going to go into a little bit more detail about that later, but the truth of the matter is that is a very fluid question right now. There are banks out there that are not looking at under 660 or 700. Then there are groups like us that are CDFIs that don't really have a minimum credit score. We're looking at what you've been doing historically over the last 12 to 24 months. But if you're going to a bank and you have above a 700, you're probably looking pretty good. If you're going to a CDFI and you've got above a 630, 650, you're probably looking pretty good. And even if you're below that, there's oftentimes ways that we can work around that. So now I'm going to hand it over to Donna to talk about developing a business plan.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, first of all, I want to say this is a general overview. We do a training that goes into detail about business plans and cash flow projections, so definitely be on the lookout for that. All right, a business plan. What should it contain? First of all, it's a blueprint for your business and is a requirement for getting a loan. So that's very important to understand that. If a lender is not asking you for a business plan, it's probably a lender you don't want to be doing business with. It's definitely a requirement for any small business administration approved loan. MCE, as I said earlier, has free templates. So email us or call us, and we'll be happy to send you a template. That is not something that you should pay for. I like to say my tip for you is free is for me. There are plenty of free resources out there to help you write business plans and to get free templates. You should not be paying anybody to write your business plan. It's a living document and it should be updated as well, is also important. So this is where you put all your research that you just did that we talked about earlier. You want to clearly define your business and your competition. You want to talk about your special sauce. What is different about you compared to your competitors, right? Maybe you have extended hours. Maybe you do delivery and your competitors don't do delivery. Maybe you offer some kind of product that's unique to the area. Talk about that. You're going to set out your financial plan. You want to make the ask for the amount of money that you're requesting, and you want to do this early. And like a resume, you want to change it up depending on your audience. That's very important. You definitely want to think about who's reading it and tweak it based on that. Keep it realistic. We can spot inflated numbers a mile away, and funders like to see a real plan, and it's okay to be conservative. So what goes in a business plan? First of all, you're going to start with your executive summary. For some people, this is easier to write last because it is a summary of the rest of your business plan. For me, I like to write it first, but whatever works for you. And like I said, for some people, it is easier to write last. And you want to have it, remember, it is a summary. So you want the details of the rest of your plan in there. You're going to make the ask how much money you are requesting, and don't be afraid to ask for it. You're not begging. You need to make the ask. Vendors are looking quickly for how much money you need, and you're going to say what you need it for, and you want to put your business address in there, and you want to do that in the first or second paragraph of your business plan. You want to come out and say, I am, my name is Nick Rudolph, and I'm the owner of Nick's Pickles, and I'm requesting $30,000 for pickle supplies, rent, and working capital. I'm located at 123 Fillmore Drive in Baltimore, Maryland. It's very important to just get that out there in the first couple paragraphs. Then you want to have your marketing plan, and this is where your research goes. And please do not forget about citations. Citations is the information for where you got your research, so that somebody can go back and click on a link, put in the information on their search browser, and see exactly where the research came from if they want more information about your research. You want to demonstrate that you understand your industry, your target customer, and your competition. You're going to also discuss costs and selling prices. So, for example, if you make widgets, how much does it cost you to make one widget? And I want to say this about the marketing plan. Social media is no longer enough. I sat in a loan committee meeting just a couple of weeks ago, and all of the lenders in that meeting said social media is no longer enough. You need to talk about the marketing plan in broader strokes. What is your sales strategy? You need to talk about your competitive edge. You can't just say, my marketing plan is I'm going to be on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Next slide, please. Then you're going to talk about your organization and operations. Again, this is where you're going to talk about your location, your legal form. Are you an LLC? Are you a sole proprietor? What is your legal form? Your management structure, any key employees that you have. And this is a tip. For any key employees that you have, I recommend that you put their resume in the addendum of your business plan. And that's because they're a strength that they're bringing to your business plan in general. So if you think about it, if you have somebody who's going to manage your cosmetic store for you, and they come with 30 years of retail management experience, that's a strength that you want to highlight. So any key employees, put their resume in the addendum of the business plan. You want to talk about any special training that you've received. So I've had folks who've opened bookstores who have taken training in how to run an independent bookstore, or trainings on how to run assisted living facilities. You want to talk about all of that in this section. Any licensing, any special licensing, and also copies of that in the addendum of the business plan. Any special insurance. For many of you, you'll just need general liability insurance, but some of you may need more specialized insurance, and you might want to submit proof of that in the addendum of the business plan. And this is new. You want to describe your COVID-19 plan. COVID-19 could happen again at any time, and we don't want anybody to be caught off guard. And lenders are now looking for, what would you do in the event COVID-19 would happen again? This is especially critical for those businesses that are severely impacted by a COVID-19 outbreak, such as any restaurants or service type industries. Then you have your financial plan. How much money do you need? You're going to talk about that again here. So in the beginning of your plan, in the very first couple paragraphs, you said, I need $30,000 for these three things. Now you're going to go into the detail about it. How much do you need? Again, then a line item breakdown. How will the funds be spent? Okay, that add up to the total amount of the loan. Any other monies needed and where it will come from. So, for example, say that you're asking for money for an office space, but you know you're going to need additional funds to do renovations. Where are those funds going to come from? Are they going to come from another loan? If so, you need to disclose that. Are they going to come from a grant? You need to disclose that. How much of your own money have you invested? We want to see that you have some skin in the game. Lenders are always looking for this information. And I know that many of you have gone into your own pockets for quite some time to start your own business, or if you have a business and you've spent your own money on your small business. Try to add that up, even if it's just a general number, and put that in your business plan. And if you can talk about what you've spent it on, all the better. And then you'll have your cash flow projections, which is really what we're looking for is 2 years of cash flow projections broken down by month. And that's what Nick is going to talk about next. Nick.
Thank you, Donna. Before I get into the cash flows, I know there's a lot on the business plan. Are there any questions specifically about the business plan? Feel free to chat or just turn on your mic and ask. And while you're thinking of them, I did want to say this is a question we get a lot of the time is about grant funding for small businesses. Other than the business types that Donna listed, right now, generally the only grant funds are facade improvement grants in certain municipalities that will pay for half of your facades. There really aren't a lot of startup grants just for general small businesses right now. In fact, none that I know of. All right, looks like we don't have any questions, so I will move on to the cash flow projections. What are they and why do we need them? So basic English, they show you the money coming in and the money going out, what you expect that will be, so you can see if you're going to make a profit. So why do you need them? Number one, they're going to be required for any SBA, really any CDFI loan, and most banks are going to look for them too. It is a planning tool. This will let you know when you're going to start making money and if you can survive long enough until that happens. It shows a difference between the profit and the cash flow. If you're bringing in $1 million a month, but you're putting out 1.1, you do not have a successful business. So you really want to think about, how those are interacting. It's just good governance. Know where know where you expect to be so that you can check and see where you are. And then again, of course, it shows you when you can start taking money out for yourself, which is very important when you're starting a small business. So you will see on the right-hand side of your screen a very scary document that is our cash flow projections. I am happy to email this to anybody. My email I'll put in the chat towards the end, but will also be on the final slide. We are also happy to do a Zoom meeting with anybody to do the cash flows for your business. Those generally take a half hour to an hour. So the first most important thing about this scary document is that it is a living document that's going to change over the time. And not only do we not expect it to be 100% accurate, we understand that the vast majority of the cells in these are not going to be what actually happens in your business. We are just looking to make sure that you are realistic and not being too bullish. We have a story of a client who had fancy wedding invitations. She made them by hand. She made $1,000 a wedding. And she said, well, we've got 10,000 weddings a year in Maryland, $1,000 a piece. I'm going to make $10 million a year. Well, number one, a one-person shop can't do that. Number two, people get married in courthouses. Number three, not everybody has $1,000 to spend on wedding invitations. So he said, look, just show us that you can do it with 5 or 10 a month and turn around and make a profit. And if you do 10,000 a month, then that's a year, then that's great. But just show that you can make it in a worst case scenario. You want to understand that a lot of your expenses are really investments. We're going to want to see that you've got money set aside for your accountant, significant money for your advertising and marketing, your insurance, your taxes, understanding that there are payroll taxes if you've got employees, things like that. You also want to break down your income as much as possible. If you have a restaurant, you might break out dine-in, carry-out, and catering, or food, liquor, and merchandise, whatever makes the most sense for your business. Because then you can say, oh, wow, we're not doing any carry-out. Do I want to focus on improving the carry-out, Or is the dining doing so well that maybe we can eliminate the carry out and just focus on dining and catering? You also want to think about, do your sales change month to month? If you're a landscaper, you are going to have you know, busier times in the spring and the fall than you do in the winter. So you want to think about things like that. One thing that almost everybody forgets to do is put their loan as income in the first year and their loan payments starting in about the third month as an expense. You want to include other loans. If your business bought a building, put that mortgage on there, things like that. And then we want to make sure that you are paying yourself. We want to make sure that you've got a quality of life. So next, I'm going to talk about specifically what our loans are and how you apply for those loans. And while these are not the same as every CDFI, a lot of these things are pretty standardized. So number one, we have our regular small business loans. They can range from $5,000 to $35,000 for startups. In our world, startups are anybody who's been around for 2 years or less. If you've been around longer than that, you are eligible up to $150,000, which is significantly more, as you can say. The terms are going to be 1 to 10 years. It's dependent on the size of the loan. $35,000 will probably be 5 or 6 years. Anything above 75, 80 will probably be 10 years. Our interest rates are currently set at 6 to 12%. These loans tend to go out right about 8%, occasionally 9, occasionally 7, but 8% is sort of what we assume. We do require collateral for these loans, but we can be very flexible. Of course, a paid off house is the best. We've been able to use automobiles, equity in homes, other people's property, occasionally business equipment, things like that. All owners who own 20% or more of the building of the business are going to have to personally guarantee the loan. And if you have a large ownership group where nobody owns more than 20%, you're going to want to put 3 or 4 people on the loan to personally guarantee the loan. Our application fees are $100 plus $25 per credit report. So that's per owner that owns 20% or more. We do a TransUnion soft pull only. It does not impact your credit score. And then there are closing costs based on the size of the loan. A $50,000 loan usually goes out at about $48,250. We just take the closing costs out of the loan proceeds. We do automatic payments each month for the loan. We do not have prepayment penalties. So what that means is if you get a government contract and all of a sudden you got $250,000 in the bank and you owe us 25, you can call us up. We'll tell you exactly how much you owe us. You can write us a check or deposit it that day and your loan is done. On the other side of that, if you know a week ahead of time that you're not going to be able to make your loan payment, you can give us a call and we will figure something out. We will get you to interest only. We'll defer payments. We might even restructure the loan. You're personally guaranteeing this loan. We want to report to the credit bureaus that you're doing a great job to get that score up. So we'll do whatever we can to make you not miss a payment. While you are having the loan, while you owe us the money, we're going to visit you twice a year, either virtually or in person. We're going to want to look at your books, talk about how the business is going, and then we can tell you about resources that we have that might be able to help you with your business. Other than application fees and closing costs, everything we do is absolutely free. Next question that people like to ask is, what can we use these loan funds for? And is my business eligible? So anything business related is absolutely okay. Space, build out, furniture, equipment, salaries, business supplies, just a cushion. That's absolutely okay. We cannot, however, for home-based businesses, pay utilities, mortgage, or rent. Now, as for what kind of businesses, generally any small business in Maryland we can work with a few exceptions. Traditional sin industries, things like an adult bookstore or someplace that sells only liquor, we couldn't do. If you are in the business of buying property to either flip or to rent out, we cannot help you with the purchase or rehab of the property. We can help you build out your own office. We can get you a truck. We can get reusable equipment. So you think, electric saws, yes, drywall and nails, no. We can get pretty creative with that as well. 1 second, we do have a question in the chat. For the site visit, is it required to have a lease space? It is absolutely not. If you do not have a physical location, Or if you are home based, we will do these virtually. We're not going to ask to come into your home or anything like that. So now we're going to talk about our next loan. It's a super cool one we have called the Credit Builder. This is a much smaller loan, $500 to $5,000, 2-year term, straight 9% interest rate. Collateral is not required, but is encouraged. Much lower cost, $50 application fee, $75 closing costs. The credit report, that's what we pay, so that's still $25 a person. Now, this loan is for a few different people. People who have no credit or may have some credit issues in the past. They are also for folks who might be trying to turn, a hobby into a side hustle. You've been fixing your friends' phone screens, they're not paying you. Maybe you should get paid for that. You want to turn that into a business, but you're going to keep your full-time job. Or you may have an existing business. These have a fast turnaround. So let's say that a tree root grows through a pipe. You need $5,000 to fix that quickly. That's what this loan can be used for. Everything else is exactly the same. If you have one of these loans, you've been paying off for a good, 6-8 months, you can apply for one of our larger loans. There are a few disqualifiers for all of our loans. I like to go through those. Right now, they are number one, if you've had a bankruptcy discharged in the last 24 months. So a lot of banks do 7 years, we're at 24 months. And the other is that if you have a tax debt, either IRS or with the state, you must have a payment plan. Other than that, you should be good to go. So what when we look at to see, who we're going to approve or who our loan committee is going to approve, we're going to want to see a clearly established business idea with a thorough business plan. We're going to want to see your cash flow. We're going to want to see that you have experience in the field or that you've got mentors. Like I said, we don't have a minimum credit score. We're going to want to see reasonable credit, and then the strength of the collateral. Like Donna said with her pizza example, we want to make sure that there's room for you in the market. And then can you get back into the workforce if the business is not successful so that you can repay that loan? So the documents are going to change bank to bank, CDFI to CDFI. But for us, and for most, we're going to have some kind of intake that's done online. That's what you normally do first. Then we've got your business loan application. For us, that's online, and that's where you upload all your documents. Personal information supplements are simplified personal financial statements. Anybody who is owning 20% or more is going to have to fill one of those out. We're going to need your business plan, your cash flow. If you're an existing business, we're going to need 2 years of profit and loss statements, assuming you've been around for 2 years. Your most recent quarterly balance sheet, 2 years of federal taxes. We will need 2 years of personal taxes from everybody, 3 months of personal bank statements from everybody, and 3 months of corporate bank statements, assuming they exist. We want to see some kind of proof that your loan was turned down by another lender. That can be an email. It doesn't need to be that you've gone through a full application process. If you talk to a bank and they say, look, we just don't think that this is right for you, that is enough. Everything else I'm about to talk about is purely optional, but I'd say pretty recommended. If you can get reference letters, those are wonderful. They can be from mentors, teachers, bosses, but get creative. If you've got a chair in a salon that you're renting and you're about to open up your own, and you can get 30 people to write letters that say, hey, when Nick moves his chair over to his own spot, I'm going to come over. That's going to make our loan committee feel pretty confident about that business. Then think about other things. Do you have a lease? Do you have estimates, invoices, contracts, resumes, licenses, your social media, your website, commercials, anything that you can do to tell your story, get to us and we'll get it in front of that loan committee to get you the best chance at a yes. Before I move forward, we do have another question. What about student loans? Okay. We do look at credit and we see student loans. For us, they're not that important. They don't make a big difference in our decision making. Most people we look at have high student loans, and it's generally not a big issue. Now, what are the requirements regarding having student debts? There are none. As long as you can articulate what they are, we're going to be good to go. And then with that, we accept applications to the first Friday of the month on our regular loans. Credit builders are rolling. We will take a look at it. We will let you know if we need to have any additional paperwork. At that point, we're going to pull your credit. If there are issues on your credit, we will give you an opportunity to write a letter, before we even show it to the loan committee so that they can get the reasoning for missed payments with the loan, with the credit report. We just came out of a pandemic. People lost jobs, people got ill, people lost relatives. So there are a lot of reasons why you may have a lower credit score that don't say who you are as a borrower. And so that's why we do that. If it's a yes, we let you know right away. We get you a commitment letter very quickly, and then you're usually funded in 3 to 4 weeks. And with that, I'll hand it over to Donna to close us out.
Thanks, Nick. Um, oh, excuse me. All right, so these are some resources that you can go to. All of these are free resources, and remember, I said free is for me, to help you with your small business. Um, there's a couple of here that I'd like to point out. For example, the Small Business Administration has a program called Lender Match that you can go to, and you can type in your information and it will provide you with Small Business Administration approved lenders in your area. And SCORE is another fantastic resource where you can get a free mentor that has worked in your industry and will be happy to work with you as a volunteer and keep you going. Let's see. Okay, we have one question in the chat. There is questions about the minimum credit score requirement. We do not have a minimum credit score requirement for our loans. We definitely look at the entire picture, the business plan, the industry, your experience doing that type of work. So we do not have a minimum credit score requirement. Nick, did you want to add anything to that?
Nope, I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay. All right. So these are all fantastic resources, especially for you to get information for your business plan when you need to do your research for your data and your citations. But also, if you need help with things like writing a business plan, or you might have legal questions, or questions about, for example, like the Department of Commerce can help you with things like import export. Next slide, please. 5 things to remember when you are applying for capital. Don't quit your day job. Having a job is in your favor. So if you can, keep your job, because the one thing that we're looking for, that lenders are looking for, is can you pay the loan back? And if you have a job, you have a way to pay your loan back. Unless you're an accountant, you need an accountant. Remember the acronym BAIL that Nick talked about earlier. You will be so busy running your business that you really need to have an accountant. They are dedicated to one aspect of your business, and that is your finances. And it's vitally important that you have that assistance. Ask for help. Starting a small business is not easy, and there are many resources out there available to you. I just talked about a few the last slide. Just remember that statistically, only 20% of businesses are successful in the first 18 months. So definitely use your resources. And I'd say a good tip is to get to know your lender ahead of time. Let them know about your business. Tell them what your needs are, and tell them before you go to them for a loan. Let them get to know you and you know them. Find out what's important to them, what's important to the bank. Maybe they're big community lenders, maybe they're interested in your industry. It's all very important information to have. So you want to put your money in the bank. Now is not the time to take a luxury vacation. Again, this goes back to, can you pay the loan back? And no business is an island. Get involved in your community. There's all kinds of local charities, chambers of commerce, Rotary out there, things for you to get involved in. You can support your local softball team, do all kinds of things like that. Next slide, please. Okay, these are some upcoming webinars that we have, and I wanted to point out a couple of them here to you. First of all, tomorrow we're having a training on woman-owned small business, how to become certified as a woman-owned small business. So if you want to get involved in government contracting, this is an excellent webinar to take. It walks you right through the steps of how to become certified, how to fill out the application, the qualifications, everything. So if you're interested in that, go to our website under the education tab and you can register for free. Also, another upcoming session that I wanted to point out is on March 20th, which is how to pay yourself in business structure. So it's going to go all through your personal and business finances and strategies to effectively pay yourself as a business owner. And I think so often we don't know how much to pay ourselves, when to pay ourselves, or anything like that. So this will be an excellent webinar for you to take. Next slide, please. And that completes our recommendation, our presentation for the evening. I want to thank Nick and thank all of you for attending tonight. You will get copies of the PowerPoint. And if you want a template, a business plan template or a cash flow template, please email us or call us. Or if you'd like help with working on your business plan or to do your cash flow projections with us, we are more than happy to do that. I'm happy to read anybody's business plan who has one already, as I know Nick is. Our contact information is listed here and in the chat. And with that, I know we have a question in the chat and we'll open it up to questions.
Yep. So Adrian, I saw your question about the CPA. We can't really recommend specific ones, but please email me and we can talk about, this, specifically what your needs are and how to go about choosing one. Are there any other questions? No.
I just
Well,
wanted to say, thank you, Nick. I'll definitely send you guys the email, but just wanted to tell everyone else I've actually worked with Donna and Nick, and they've been helping me with my cash flow and everything with my business plan, and they're awesome. So just go for it. I know me, I'm a little nervous about the process just starting out, so I really appreciate Donna just nurturing me through the process. So but I would definitely say they are awesome if you're looking to get started.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun working with you. So yeah, this is what we love. So, we are here to make this really daunting experience of starting a small business easier. So not only are we here to offer, advice and how to do cash flows and business plans, but we're an ear, we're somebody you can vent to. We're somebody you can run ideas off of. Just, you've been in this class, you are clients of MCE. We are a resource tool in your back pocket. And so, please take advantage of that.
And remember, we're free.
Free, always free.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, it looks like that is all of the questions that we have. Like Donna often says, I think of my best questions after something like this ends. So, of course, feel free to contact us directly. Everybody will be emailed this PowerPoint. The video will go up on YouTube. And if you like our business plan or cash flow templates, again, just email either one of us.
Nick, we have one more question in the chat.
Yes. When looking for, is there a criterion for banking for business? Is there a criteria needed? So banks are regulated. And so most banks, are going to be able to offer similar products. You can trust them. What you want to do is go talk to a number of banks and see where you feel most comfortable. Get to know folks. And if there's just some reason that there's this one business banker that you just feel is right for you, then go with that bank. But as long as they're a certified bank, they're going to be, able to do the work that you need them to do. All righty. So yeah, thank you everybody for taking the class and for your kind words, everybody. This, like I said, this gives us our lifeblood. We love doing these classes and we look forward to working with each and every one of you. Donna, any closing words?
I just want to wish you all the best of luck and, enjoy this time. It's a fun time. It's an exciting time. And I can't wait to see your vision for your businesses become a reality.
Yep. And Samantha says, so if you have a relationship with or a good fit with the bank, they may be the right one. Absolutely. 100%. All righty, everybody. I hope you have a great day, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you soon. Bye-bye.